Today, I'm going to explain why you will not become rich investing into Pokemon. Now, I'm not making this video to entice you to spend more or less on Pokemon than what you are already doing, and I'm not trying to change your mind on Pokemon investing and change your decisions on what you're doing, because the reality is you know your situation better than anyone else, so you have to make the decisions for yourself that are in your best interest, because you know how much money you make, you know how much money you spend on Pokemon, you know where you're at in your life, so you can make the best decision for yourself, and you really shouldn't let anyone else change your mind on what you're doing. However, I want to talk about this topic today because I think a lot of people in Pokemon investing have this skewed reality that they're going to become millionaires off of doing this. And for probably around 99.9% of the people out there, you are not going to become rich off of investing into Pokemon. And that's just the truth. And the reason why you're not going to become rich off of investing in Pokemon is very simple. Now, I want to break this down into two different reasons, but I just want to talk about the big reason first. And I'm going to break it down from there. So the big reason why, and a very simple reason, is that most people out there do not invest enough into Pokemon to become rich. That's just the truth, and that's really the only reason why you're not going to become rich off of doing this, is because most people do not spend a lot into investing in a Pokemon. And I actually think that's a good thing because everyone knows that, people in this hobby, they're going to hold for 20 years, right? We're all holding these boxes. No one's going to sell, right? Obviously, I'm just kidding. Most people in this hobby, they get out within a few years of doing this. And if you're investing heavily in a Pokemon and you sell all of your product in a few years, it's possible maybe you bought some stuff that didn't go up in value at all and you'll have to sell for a loss. And it's also possible you didn't make as much money as you thought you were, and you were probably better off just investing into a normal investment like stocks or something. So for most people, this is probably a good thing you don't do this. And a lot of people, have this range of, I don't know, 5 to 10% of investing into Pokemon. Some people even like 1%. I've seen people say, yeah, I'm only investing like a booster box of every single set. And that's perfectly fine. But at that point, I would say it's more collecting if you're just buying like a one or two booster boxes from each set, and there's nothing wrong with that. But just most people out there don't invest enough into a Pokemon to be rich off of it. And like I said, that's probably a good thing. So now I want to break it down into kind of two different reasons. So the first thing I want to talk about is risk, and the second thing I want to talk about is scale. So risk. Pokemon, it's kind of, some people say it's not risky at all. Some people say it's pretty risky, and that's why you should just invest a small amount of your money into Pokemon. So people just aren't willing to be risky enough to spend enough into Pokemon, and that's why you're not going to become rich off of it, because a lot of people are risk adverse, and depending on where you are in your life, obviously you might want to have more risk or less risk. I don't know where you're at in your life, but you guys know me. I have said this before. I'm willing to be more risky and invest more into Pokemon than maybe people out there that are more in the middle of their life, because at my age, I'm willing to be risky because I have time to build up, wealth and stuff. So I'm willing to take a chance and be a little bit riskier to be able to get more gains and more returns. So that's why I invest a decent amount into Pokemon. So I just have a few posts from the Pokemon investing subreddit. I know this is not the best place for advice, but I found some few posts here that have actually reasonable people giving advice to some of these people that are posting. So this person's like 17 years old. They have like 9,000 they want to invest. And basically everyone in the comments is saying to not really invest in a Pokemon and just put their money into a retirement account. Some are saying you can invest some, like this person saying like spend 2K and invest together 7K into a Roth IRA, which is like a retirement account. And pretty much everyone is on board with this, saying that, just invest, just in traditional investments. Don't really invest in a Pokemon at your age. You shouldn't be putting, this person saying, even more than 25% of Pokemon. Obviously, all these people have different views on this whole thing, but basically the general consensus is that this person at their age shouldn't really be investing into Pokemon. And you can see here, a lot of people are pretty risk adverse. They go to the traditional route. That's perfectly fine. And just another post I want to show you guys. This person is talking about investing 5 to 10,000 into Pokemon product. A lot of people are basically saying, invest into just normal like stocks, like ETFs, like index funds. People are just basically saying just invest in the stocks. You shouldn't really be investing a lot into Pokemon, and yeah, that's a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that's a less risky route, which is why you will not become rich investing in Pokemon, because you're just risk adverse, and that's fine. And then the next thing I want to talk about is scale. And this is, obviously the main reason and the big reason why you're not going to become rich is because you don't have enough of this stuff, because you're risk adverse, you don't put enough money into it, you don't have enough scale to become rich. So an example of someone I like to give, of someone who has a massive scale into just trading card games in general, not just Pokemon, but Alpha Investments, everyone knows him, right? He has so much, he has pallets of booster boxes of Pokemon and pretty much every other trading card game out there. This is obviously not normal. I'm not saying that people out there should do this, because he has, he has a marketplace where he can sell this to. He has patrons, he has a presence online, a store he can sell to. So obviously he's able to do this at this scale because he has a place to sell to. So for most people, if you had this amount of product, if you don't have a store or anything to sell to, getting rid of this might be kind of hard. But obviously, he kind of knows what he's doing. He's been in this for a long time, and that's why he's willing to put this much money into Pokemon and invest this heavily. But I want to speak about scale, because I think this is something people don't really realize. They just talk about percentages. Is that, okay, let's say you buy a booster box for $100, right? Let's say 3 to 4 years now, the box maybe goes to $300. So what, you have a 200% return? That's amazing, right? 200% in a few years. That's not unrealistic for Pokemon. We all know this can happen. We've seen this with plenty of sets. Evolving Skies, Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, Lost Origin. You could have bought them all for $100 less. Even in the 80s with, Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, Battle Styles. Those sets you could have got for very cheap. And those are now in the low 200s. So you would have had a 200% return or even more in just a few years. So it's not unrealistic to say that. But you got to realize this. If you're only buying a few booster boxes of each set, which there's nothing wrong with doing that, does it really matter it's going up 300%, 200%? Because let's say you buy 3 booster boxes of a set that goes up, 200%. Let's say you bought, those 3 each for $100. So you spent $300. Now, each of those now are worth, let's say $300. So they're worth now $900. So you made $600 in a few years. That's obviously good percentage-wise. But in terms of scale, that's nothing. Who cares? Like $600 in a few years. Like, obviously, like I said, percentage wise is good, but it's not a lot. Like, you would have, obviously at that point, if you're really trying to heavily invest or think about, I'm going to become rich off of doing this, that's like nothing. So you got to just put in perspective how much you're investing is how much you're going to get out of this, because don't think you're going to become a millionaire just buying a few boxes here and there. At that point, I kind of consider it collecting, not really investing. And like I said, I'm not trying to change your mind on anything, but just know that's just how investing works. It's how much you put in is how much you're going to get. And for, this, maybe it's a good thing you don't do it, because it's maybe more risky, because you might get out of Pokemon. Pokemon, I don't know, might have a bad market or whatever the case may be. It's fine that you're not investing a lot, but just don't expect to become a millionaire off of doing this, because for most people out there, you're not doing investing, Pokemon investing at a scale enough where you're going to become rich doing this. But someone like Alpha Investments is going to become rich off of doing this, because he has such a large amount of product. He has a huge scale of doing this. If he box doubles in price, let's say he spends like $100,000, now he has $200,000. So obviously that's not including other stuff, but just on paper, he's obviously doing that at such a big scale that he's going to become rich. Obviously is rich off of doing this. He has Evolving Skies booster box cases, tons of them. Evolving Skies booster boxes are $700. If he has like 1,000 boxes or whatever, how much he has, think about how much money he made. So that's all I want to talk about today, is that you're not going to become rich off of doing this, because for the most part, you are not doing this at a large enough scale to become rich. And that's probably a good thing, because most people out there, it's good that you're not doing this, because you will probably get out this hobby within a few years, or you just will have so much product if you're trying to do this at a large scale that maybe you will have a tough time selling this in the future. There's a lot of factors, but the main thing is that you are not doing this at a large enough scale to become rich. So that's the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.